friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a Notion refresh. And the reason I am doing this is, I'm going to be really honest here for a second. I've been a little bored with my Notion lately. And actually, I don't even think bored is not the right way to say it. I have been finding more and more that I'm constantly going into Notion whenever I am bored and fidgeting with it and revamping with it for like stupid reasons. And I've realized I've kind of gotten away from Notion being functional and started focusing way too much on Notion being aesthetic. And that is not the point of me using Notion. The reason I went to using Notion is because of the fact that I was able to put everything I needed for my life, for my business, for my day job, everything inside of the same system. And I think sometimes I've been getting so distracted by the aesthetics of Notion, which is something I think happens to a lot of us, that I have been losing sight of the functionality of Notion. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is I've literally allowed myself like 30 minutes. I have a 30-minute window to do this where I am going to streamline. I am going to really cut down on the things in my favorites. I'm going to streamline my cover photos. I am just going to streamline, and I want to share a little bit of that with you. So let's go ahead and do this. Okay, let's do this. I'm literally giving myself 20 minutes to do this. I have already started doing some things inside of this, but yeah, let's do this because we are going to just streamline. So how I want to go about doing this, and some of the first changes that I want to make, and actually some of the first changes I did make is I went through and I like triaged my favorites and removed some things from my favorites that I really don't need to be there. I honestly don't think I need this one to be there either. Probably the places that I go to the most and that I need quick access to the most are my main dashboard, my quick capture, my business, and my day job. I do want to have my meal planning because this is a place that I access when I'm out grocery shopping. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to remove everything else. How you can do that, there's a couple different ways you can do that. If you have the toolbar open, what I would recommend doing is just click the three dots and go remove from favorites. You can always add these things back later. So for whatever reason I decide I want the finances back, what I do is I just need to go in here. Oh, that's not the one I removed, is it? So I also am going to remove the finances. So let's just do that, remove from favorites. But let's say I do want the finances back. I just need to go back into the finances page and click the star that's at the top of the page, and that will add the finances tracker back to my favorites. But I don't want this to be in my favorites. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to remove my reviews and reflections. I do use that page quite a bit, but it's just not something I need to be favorited because I usually only access once a week. So there we go. That's everything I need here. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to actually literally start from like the home page. And what I'm going to do here is any page that I don't access like readily, I am going to go in and I'm going to remove the cover photo from. This is something I'm not going to lie, I'm struggling with a little bit because I love the look of the cover photo so much. But this is something I think if you do want to remove the cover photo, you just need to go in and click remove. See, I just like how it looks so much better with the cover photo. Now, one thing I did go ahead and do is I really like being able to see the icon. An issue that I have with the Notion cover photos, and I wish this is something I could go in and change, is when you add like a standard cover photo, it goes right behind your icon, and I don't actually love that. So something that I went ahead and did is I went ahead and I kind of created this like half page image so that you can see only part of the image on this actual page here. So that's kind of what I did here, and I do think I actually might keep this, though I don't go to the home page a ton. Probably the biggest pages that I'm going to go in and I'm going to change up are my main dashboard page and my and a lot of my other pages that, again, I just don't access a ton. I'm also going to go in and I'm going to change these to just kind of make it a little bit more minimalist because I'm kind of just getting sick of me being so like, I don't like how it looks all the time with my Notion. So let's go ahead and let's change this. I'm going to go, sweet. We'll go ahead and do this one. This will be good. So now the other thing that I want to go ahead and do is, I don't think I'm going to change too much of what I have going on down here, though I will definitely admit that I have thought about, again, just streamlining this page. But I think the big thing that I want to do right now is I want to streamline these cover photos, and then I'm going to go into some of these ones that I use a lot, and I'm going to streamline their cover images as well. So for these cover photos, I actually found something on YouTube that I really liked. Let me go ahead and share this. This was a a YouTube video where I was literally just kind of going through and watching their Notion setup, because they have a very minimalist Notion setup and I really like it. And this is what I saw in theirs that I really, really liked. And it was this, just an icon being the cover image. And I really like that. And I think that's what I'm going to kind of pivot to. So what I've gone ahead and done is inside of I have kind of like a Notion cover photos template. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to use this page right here to be kind of the page that I'm going to make all of mine. And I'll go ahead and download this, and this can be my new cover for my business page. And actually, while I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep this up so I can create other covers for my other pages. But then what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and change this, upload my new cover photo, and there we go. I'm still getting my pops of green in here, but it's just more focusing more on it being functional as opposed to it being so like the aesthetic. Which, yeah, like I keep saying, I've been getting way too caught up in that. Now that I've gone ahead and done that, what I also want to go ahead and do is, you can kind of see, I can tell what each of these are from their icon. So I'm kind of trying to decide if I want to actually include the title. Maybe not. I might just kind of wait that till later. If I did want to do that, what I would do is I would just go in here and click the I next to the name property just to get it so that it actually shows the name. I don't necessarily think I need to do that at this point in time. But I kind of like how it looks, so I might leave it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to change the gallery, and I'm going to make these medium. I think I'm going to make them small. Sweet. So that's kind of the aesthetic that I'm looking for. I just want it to be cleaner than it has been. So that's one of the big things that I want to do, is go in and change the cover pages. I also want to go in and I want to remove the cover pages on some of these pages that I just don't need covers on. I do think I want to keep them on one of them on the goals page. I think I'm probably going to keep cover images on all of the pages where that I use quite a bit. So we'll go ahead and we'll keep cover on this page here. Reviews and reflections, I am also going to go ahead and I am going to remove the cover page. That page, honestly, don't even know why I have a separate page for this, because this is a database. This is another thing that I've been finding in my Notion system, is that I have some redundancies on, there are pages that I have created that really just, like, honest to God, don't need to be pages. So I think actually what I want to go ahead and do is I want to delete this page altogether. And this is what I want to have linked in my actual like toolbar here. So instead of having this guy linked, I want the one that has like a little notepad next to it, because that's the one that's the actual database. So I'm going to link that. And I'm actually going to delete this page because it's just redundant. It doesn't need to be a separate page. So we'll go ahead and delete that. And I'm going to remove the cover from this though, because it just doesn't need to have a cover. I'm hoping doing some of this is going to increase my load speeds, because my Notion has been slow at times. So let's see, quick capture. I actually really like this page. It's like one of the few where I feel like the cover photo works really well for what I've got happening here. And it's nice and simple and streamlined, though I admittedly never use the buttons. So I am going to delete this. I think actually using buttons is a cool feature, but I got so used to using Notion when it didn't have buttons that I like don't really use it anymore. So I really like all of the pages that I have here. Stopped my video. So now we're going to go ahead and pick up in this My Day view. I don't really use this view very much. I'm not quite ready to delete it per se yet, but I definitely don't use it. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to remove the cover photo. With my quick capture page, I already looked at that one and I really like the quick capture page. With my personal growth planner, I'm not gonna lie, I never use this page anymore. This is how you know I never use this page anymore, is because it still has this cover photo on the top. So I actually feel like for me, I'm going to delete this page because I just don't use it. I find that I've been moving a little bit more toward using the OKR goal setting system rather than using this page. Also, I just realized my cupboard's open behind me and you can see my stash of toilet paper and paper towels right there. All right, so I do think I'm gonna, and again, the whole point of this is I'm trying to streamline my Notion. So I'm gonna delete this page. Let's go ahead and let's look inside of growth. My life handbook is also actually something that I've been moving away from, but I'm not quite ready to delete it per se yet. But I do think actually what I want to go ahead and do here, I think I'm going to keep that, but I am going to go ahead and I'm going to remove the cover photos for the rest of this system. You can see part of the reason why I wanted to do this is I already have like these pretty images in here, and I feel like it's almost, I've made it so busy over the years just because I was so excited about Notion that I feel like it was almost less impactful because of how much stuff there was going on in it. So it's like the cool aesthetics are cool, but when you overdo them, they become less cool is kind of what I've realized. So the OKR goal setting system, I already kind of changed my cover photo, and I actually recently updated my OKR goal setting system and kind of the view there. So I'm going to leave this as is because I like how this page is looking. My travel planner, I think I'm going to go ahead and similarly I'm going to remove the page here because again, you've got some images on here anyway. And actually this trip I can go ahead and move to past because I just took that trip. My vision board is another page that I don't access very much, but I like that it's just the images and I don't have a cover photo here. I actually think that's kind of what I'm going for moving forward. So my task manager, I actually think I am going to change the cover photo on this one. So not completely remove it, just change it. And I think with this one, I want it to be this cover photo. I like that a little bit better. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and go down here to my business page. So I've got my main HQ, got my content creation hub. I know I've already done both of those pages already. My business reviews. Similarly, I do not need a page here. I'm going to move my quarterly reviews, and actually let's go ahead and add an icon to this. Now we've got an icon, and I think I'm going to go ahead and just move this to like straight to my Coach Ellen page. Now that is under Coach Ellen LLC. I'll go ahead and I will, and actually I think I want to make this a full page database instead of an inline database so that I can just have it. So now I can just have this as a page inside of here. So I'm doing a lot of streamlining right now. I'm trying to get rid of excess pages that I don't need anymore. So let's go ahead and let's go back to business review. So now I can go ahead and I can get rid of this page that really wasn't serving any purpose per se. Okay, so now if we go back to my home page, still at the Content Creation Hub, I can go ahead and I can delete this. I have the Business Mindset Journal. I actually don't mind how this one looks, but though I do think I want to change it to a different photo. Okay. My Biz Roadmap. I actually think what I want to do with this page, I don't really use this page anymore, but I do think it would be really, really helpful to have a place where I can go to see the active projects I have for each quarter. That's kind of what the top of this is meant to be, the active objectives. Okay, I actually do like the top of this page, but the bottom of this page I find to be kind of overwhelming and frankly something that I never use. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to delete the bottom of this page. And I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to move this stuff to here. Sweet. I also generally don't like to have background colors like that, so I like this a lot better. I think this is a lot more kind of what I want this page to be. I also am going to go ahead and remove the cover photo from here because I just don't really feel like I need it. Okay, so that's all the pages that are linked here. Oh, except I do have one-day purchases, which I do think I'm going to drag up to here, and I think similarly I can remove this from here. I did that. Okay, and I think, and then I've got my writing page here, which similarly, I am going to, I actually do really like the photo that's on this page, but still, I'm going to go ahead and remove this. Okay, cool. So I've got my writing page, and then similarly, I'm going to go in and I am going to make sure these pages are good. So my archive page is still nice and clean, and I like it that way. My databases page, we're good. And my notes page, similarly going to remove. Okay, so I went through a lot of this, and I'm sure I'm going to find more pages that I didn't get to, and I'm kind of just doing everything based off of this home page right now. I did just realize that my reviews and reflections actually didn't get turned into a page. It's just kind of chilling down here. So I am actually going to turn this into a page, kind of like I've been doing with the other ones, and I'm going to drag this into my growth page. Now my home page is just a bunch of different pages that are linked from here, so that's kind of what I want it to be. So the last thing I want to go ahead and do, and kind of giving my Notion a little bit of a refresh and a little bit of a kind of streamline, is I want to go in and I want to actually look at some of these objectives and some of these things that I'm working toward, and really streamline down some of my templates here. So actually, I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to start within the template itself. I recently went through and I made some modifications to my workflow for this, which I'll probably be recording something for this soon. So this is kind of what I want to start doing with all of my projects, is kind of doing a motivation and a vision and a manifestation as I set each new objective. So I've kind of already done that. I haven't applied it to any of my objectives, but I've really been trying to get rid of some of this stuff that I've never really been using. So actually, I think this is a good example of one where I can go in and I can clear the template. Let's go ahead and expand this guy, and I will apply the new template. So the only thing that I'm not wanting to do is I don't want it to change the icon, which I think it's going to. Yeah, see, it changed it to that. So all I need to do actually is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to click undo. And for whatever reason, I don't know why this is, but it doesn't remove the template that I just applied, but it will change my icon back, which I like. So now I can go in and I can add all of this information, but I've got my projects here, I've got my key results here, I've got my habits here, and that's what I want. So cool. So I've got all of this information that I need here. And actually, this did just point out something that I should go in and do to change that template, as I want it to wrap each of these. This is a Notion update they've made recently where you can wrap or unwrap your column. I like it as an update. I just wish they made wrap the default, because it's very irritating to have to go through and wrap everything. So let me go ahead and I'm going to change that for my template, so I don't have to do it every single time I apply the template. Sweet. Okay, and now I will go ahead and go back to my OKR home. And let's see if I can apply it to any of these other ones here. This actually reminds me that this is something else that I do want to do. I want to go in and I want to remove the cover photos from all of these pages, because what I've kind of been moving toward is I have been moving toward not having images for all of these cover photos, and not using the gallery view with images, but just kind of keeping it a little simpler than that. And so I am going to actually go through and I'm going to remove all of these cover photos. And again, the big reason why I'm doing a lot of this is because I just want Notion to be so much more functional and focus so much less on the aesthetics of using Notion. So that's a big reason why I'm trying to do this. It might kind of throw off some of my templates for a while in terms of some of my existing pages, and how those pages look, but that's okay. And actually, this is a thing that I realized recently, that I'm tracking as a key result and not as an objective. So I'm going to actually delete this. Okay, so I'll slowly but surely start going through and removing cover photos from all of these. I think it's something that's just going to kind of be like an ongoing thing. I do think I'm going to keep the cover photo for my meal planning. And I do think I'm going to keep the cover photo for this because this is another page that I do frequent. Okay, so I think the last thing that I want to go ahead and do in here is I want to change my areas templates. And to figure out kind of how I want to change them, I think I'm going to go ahead and start with the places that I use the most. I actually really, really like the layout that I have for my day job. It's kind of funny that this is the one I like the most. I feel like it's so simplified and so streamlined, and I really appreciate that about this. I also went ahead and I realized I didn't have a progress bar property for my areas, so I went ahead and I created a roll-up where what I'm doing is this shouldn't be percent grouped, it should be, yeah, okay, sorry. Where I'm tracking how many completed projects I have. So that's something that I'm going to start doing as well. But I really like my day job planner and my day job dashboard view. I really don't like the one that I probably use the most, which is my business dashboard. So this is the one that I kind of want to tweak a little bit. And this is where I'm really not sure how I'm going to be tweaking this, but I think the biggest thing I want to do is I know I 1000% want to remove all of this crap over here that I frankly never use and never refer to. So that already kind of cleans things up a bit for me. Okay, so I think the next thing I want to go ahead and do is I really like being able to, look and see all of my projects and my key results and my habits. But I'm realizing I think the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do here is I want to feature the databases on this page. I don't necessarily feel like, because I really don't access my notes and my tasks a whole heck of a lot from this page. What I'm really looking at from this page is my objectives, my projects, and then all of these links down here. So I think the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to kind of reorganize some of this stuff. So I'm going to turn this into a 2-column, and on this side of the 2-column I'm going to put my projects and my key results, and then on the other side I'm going to put my objectives. Oopsies, that's not what I meant to do. And I am going to make the objective side a lot more narrow than the project side. I'm going to go through at some point too, and I'm going to move some of these things over to objectives. And the only other thing I went ahead and did is I moved my resources here too, instead of having them down kind of at the bottom. But I'm realizing I kind of don't love the board view. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this back to a gallery view. I am going to leave it so that there is no card preview. And then I think the last thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I currently have my progress being displayed. I think I'm also going to go ahead and display the status as well. I do currently, this is part of the reason why. This is why on the board view I had no other column. So actually let me go, we're going to undo a few things. This is why I had nothing else showing up here, is I forgot that I had this filtered so that it was only showing stuff that was considered to be in progress. So now I've got all of the different projects here, and now I don't mind this at all. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to resize this slightly. Actually, I shouldn't need to, because this is a smaller view than I have when I'm actually seeing this on my computer. So I already like this. I'm liking this a lot better, basically, at this point in time. So then I can use these guys over here to help me access some things. But I do think the very, very last thing I kind of want to do here is, I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add it to the left here. And I'll just go ahead and is I think I want to put some quick links over here. And the quick links are really just going to be the things that I probably go to the most inside of my business page. So I'm just going to kind of scan through all of these. I think one of the big ones I go to is my business stats tracker. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and I'm going to drag this inside of here. It looks really, really narrow view right now, but it's actually not going to be once I actually like start using it on my computer, because again, my computer screen's a little bit bigger than what I'm sharing with you right now. So actually, I think instead of doing what I just did there and dragging it in, I think I'm going to add them. I think I'm going to mention them. So we'll do at the business stats tracker. There's that going to be right there. We'll also do my client management as well. I'll do my memberships page, even though I can access that right there. I actually really do want to split my memberships page into my Burnout memberships and my Notion memberships, keep them a little bit separate. Let's see here. I do want the content creation hub. And actually, I think I want the project manager in the content creation hub. I need any of those. I'll go ahead and do my quarterly review, my biz mindset journal. That might be everything I'm going to go ahead and do here, but I think I will, just to kind of add a teeny bit of pizzazz without anything too crazy. I'll add an image. Awesome. And then last but not least, what I'm going to go ahead and add to this page, I'm going to do below the synced block, is I'm going to add, this is a trick I recently learned from Thomas Frank Explains, is I'm going to add a quick links toggle, which can be very handy when I try to access stuff on my phone. So what I can go ahead and do down here is I can do a table of contents. And what the table of contents does is it shows all of the headers that are on the page, and allows me to like really, really quickly click to jump straight to that header. So kind of keeping that in mind, I think something else that maybe I should consider doing is maybe turning these into headers. But I'll cross that bridge when I get there, because I do primarily work on Notion on my computer and not necessarily on my phone. So the final thing that I think I'm going to go ahead and do is I think I'm actually going to rearrange some of these links down here. So they're kind of just taking up a lot of space right now, and I would like to have them all be all in one row if possible. So I'm just kind of dragging them up top here so that I can have at least the majority of them be all in one row. There we go. I like this so much better. This is so much more streamlined. And I think what it does too is it gives me a little bit of an idea of some things that maybe I could do in some of my other views as well. So the last thing I will probably go ahead and do, or eventually, I don't even really feel like this is a high priority right now, I'll probably go in here and change up the area template so that it kind of matches a little bit more of kind of the aesthetic that I have going on in my business database now and inside of my day job database now. So I kind of tend to have this like menu over here, and that I feel like seems to be working pretty well. So in a nutshell, let me show you all of the things that I've done. So I went through and I consolidated down my dashboard. I also kind of cleaned up a lot of the pages. So this is now just a page with links. My main dashboard is a lot cleaner in terms of the cover images, and then I really didn't change a whole heck of a lot on this main dashboard otherwise, but I really did go through and I very much streamlined and reorganized some of the things on my OKR page. I kind of changed some of these cover photos so that you can see the icon a little bit better on the actual page, and then I did go through later on and end up doing a little bit more rearranging on my Coach Ellen page. So I actually moved a lot of the links over here, so now it is, I really like how this looks. Now I have all of my like links and little menus on the side, and then I have my main stuff here. in this page here. And actually these are mistakes, these need to be deleted. But I've got all of my main tasks here. I went through and I changed the images on my content creation hub. My day job planner stayed very similar except for changing the background. My reviews and the reflections is just the database now. So I really just did a lot of streamlining, and I did also go through and I changed some of the layouts. So I changed the area layout so it has that menu on the side, so then I can go through and I can add any pertinent things to the menu depending upon the area, my resources, my notes, my projects, and then I can see my tasks and my objectives. So that got streamlined quite a bit. My objectives kind of had already been streamlined, but I'll go ahead and recap that for you. So my objectives template now has that motivation, vision, manifestation, projects, and next steps here. My projects view also got streamlined as well. So now I have tasks, notes, and resources, and then just have a little project overview at the top. I do think eventually one of the goals that I have with my projects is to make my projects just look a little bit more like, actually it looked a little bit more like the layout that I have for my membership. So let me show you that really quickly. So I really want to kind of make the project layout look a little bit more like the layout I have for my membership. So I'll do that as well. I'm just not going to do it right now. And then I also went through and I didn't change much to any of these layouts in these databases, but really I'm very, very happy with how streamlined it is, how aesthetic it is. I went through and I deleted some pages that I'm not using anymore. So I'm realizing my Notion is going to be a work in progress, and that is okay, that I'm constantly making tweaks, removing things that I don't really need anymore, pages that I'm not using anymore, and my style changes too. And right now I'm a little bit more of a minimalist aesthetic space, so that is okay with me. And I took a little bit of time, I set aside a small chunk of time, because as we know, Notion is a vortex that you can get lost in. I set aside a small chunk of time to let myself do this, and I'm really, really happy with the outcome. So that is it. That is the end of my Notion refresh. I've honestly looked for a YouTube video like this to get some ideas for the things that people do to kind of maintain and update their Notion and refresh it. And I figured I might as well record one since I couldn't find one. I kind of figured this is almost like a little bit of a digital organization. And this is something I've been wanting to do with my Notion for a while now. And I figured, spend an hour doing it is going to be better than it just kind of constantly being at the back of my mind that I'm not happy with my Notion. So I hope you got some ideas from this. I hope it maybe gave you some thoughts and some ways to refresh your Notion if you are realizing that, it's getting a little bit too cluttered, or it's just not really serving the purpose that it's meant to serve. And you, like me, were maybe getting a little bit too caught up in all the aesthetics and not necessarily focusing enough on it being functional. And I hope it gave you some ideas, and I would love to hear from you. What are some of the things in your Notion that you are realizing you need to update as well? Notion is dynamic. Notion is constantly something that we are going to be refreshing and revamping and making work for us. And the cool thing about it is how easy it is to do that. I do recommend, if you are planning on doing that, set aside some time like I did, because Notion is a vortex. I said it at the end there, and I'm going to say it again. Notion is a vortex. It's very easy to get lost in. And I think sometimes it's really important to put, that time boundary around how much time we're willing to let ourselves do this kind of work inside of our Notion system. So with that, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being part of the Coach Ellen community. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if this is content that you are liking seeing, so YouTube continues to recommend it to you. And with that, my friend, I will see you next time. Bye.